Welcome. You have reached review time with Imperial. Today's review will be the movie Fatale, starring Michael Ealy and Hilary Swank. Let's get into it. Before we get into this review, smash that like button, man. Smash that like button and subscribe to the channel so this channel can continue to build. So let's get into it. So this movie, I guess, was originally supposed to drop either in August or October of this year in the theaters, but of course the pandemic came, so a lot of movies are finding its way to streaming. So Michael Ealy is played by Derrick Tyler. Michael Ealy character is Derrick Tyler, and Hilary Swank's character is Detective uh, Valerie. And what's happening is Derrick runs a he was a sports star in college, and he turned to build an agency for athletes, and he just signed Lance Stevenson, brokered a deal for him. He has a partner who was played by Michael Cutler, as plays as Luke Cage. His name is Rafe Grimes. Now, the movie starts off. Ely and his wife is out at dinner with Rafe and his girlfriend, and you instantly start seeing some like weird eye contact going on there, but you don't really pay attention. But you see it, but you're not paying attention at the moment. So Derek and his wife is having marital issues. They're not connecting well. So there is he was asking his wife. She went missing for a while, and so when she went missing, she wouldn't really tell him where she was at. He just wanted to make sure she was safe, and she just basically said, "I got my own career, and basically, you shouldn't be checking me like that, pretty much." So, nevertheless, it's a bachelor party coming up, in which a bachelor party coming up in which Rafe, his friend who's with the company with him, basically pushes him up like, "Yo, man, get busy, man. You out here, enjoy yourself. I'm gonna take your ring. You out in Vegas." Meanwhile, he's on the dance floor. He see Hillary King Swank's character, and she's pretty much on the dance floor, vibing. A guy comes up to her, and she brushes him off. Ely is standing there. She's taking Ely, so Ely's character is staring at Derek. He's looking. So nevertheless, they base one thing leads to another. They start dancing, getting real close to each other. He ends up back in her room, knocking her down. So after he knocks her down, when he wake up in the morning, he looking for his phone. And so he wakes her up. And so while he looking for her phone, she said, "I put your phone in my safe. And you can't get it back until you come back and sleep with me again." And so he came and slept with her again. And then she gave him the code for him to get his phone. And he left. He went home back to his wife or whatever. And so when he was with his wife, um, he wanted to rekindle with his wife. He felt bad that he cheated on his wife, and he wanted to rekindle with her. Basically, told her, "Look, we need to, have kids. You know what I mean, and or whatever." So that night, while he was knocking down his wife, they heard something break in, and so when you hear something break in, they're like, "What's that?" And so he looking weary. Now, this is a movie, but we in 2020 now, so I can't really just always just keep saying these movies are just movies. It's not logical. So in 2020, this is the age of everything is filmed. If you sitting somewhere in your house and you ain't got no cameras going on and all that, I don't know what's going on in 2020 with you or whatever. Now, somebody might say, well, somebody could tap into my camera system and they can see uh, what's going on at my house. That might be the position somebody might take. Well, if you got a cell phone, unless you got one of them old prehistoric um, flip phones, they can pretty much track you through your cell phone if they was a good hacker or whatever. So knock it off with that excuse. But I digress. Let's get back to the movie. And so somebody breaks in the house. He's going up. He grabs a golf club. Okay, that's another thing. That's another thing. We can't be too comfortable in life, or we out and just protect yourself, fellas. Protect your household. That's all I'm gonna say. Just he grabbed um the golf club. So he gets up, and the robber sneaks up behind him. They get to tussling. The robber's trying to shoot him. The robber did get off his shot, and it kind of, you know, dazed him a little bit, but it didn't shoot him. So they tussling, and you know the robber getting the best of him, beating him up, and knocked him on the ground. And then the gun was knocked on the floor. Now all this is going on. Wife is still in the bed. Woo, man. So, husband's upstairs getting torpedoed, and she's still in the bed. She don't go call. She don't call the 911 or nothing. You know what I'm saying? So, all right. And so when the robber went back to grab a gun, he wasn't there no more. So he snuck behind a robber and busted the robber in the face with the golf club, and the robber ran off. Meanwhile, the cops, he yells his wife to call 911. And so before the robber, the wife did eventually come upstairs, and the robber like turned towards her, but then like basically didn't look her way no more. So then the thing happened with him, them tussling and him smacking him in the head with the golf club. So he tells her go call 911. When 911 comes, his heart drops in his stomach because the detective that comes on the scene is the detective he had. Hilary Swank's character, he had sex with in Vegas. So his heart drops in his stomach like, what? She a detective? Oh man, so now he looking like, is she gonna blow my spot up? So Detective Valerie comes in, and she's instantly from the rip. She's trying to keep it together because she looking at him like, you ain't never tell me you was married, whatever, whatever. And she looking at him like, but she's one of the best detectives to do what she does or whatever. So she instantly asks the wife like, okay, well, where were you? And the wife said, I was down in the room. And she's like, well, can you show me the room you was at? And so he thinking, well, damn, she gonna go tell my wife like, yo, I was just sleeping with your husband, you know, or whatever. So she go down and she asking the wife questions like, where was you when this took place? And she's asking questions. She's sitting on the bed. So it's real weird. Like, why are you sitting on her bed, you know? And so the wife even came out and said, well, what does this have to do with the investigation? Like, you know what I'm saying? So at the time you thinking like she on some weird, like, fatal attraction shit. Like, she really wanna, you know, she's seeing the ins and outs of the house, and she really wanna live her life type shit, right? And so they come back upstairs, and she pretty much was like, yeah, if you have anything, to add to the case, you know, give me a call. She gave him my card and shit. Now he's sitting there, you know, spooked or whatever. So he gets to work, and he telling his boy like, yo, I knocked the detective down, and the detective She came to my house, and he's like, she did say anything or whatever, and she was like, nah, she kept it cool. So he scheduled a visit with the detective, and pretty much was like, you know, she start busting his balls or whatever. She pretty much said, I'm gonna keep it on the down. I'm gonna find out who did this. So at this time, you thinking, did the did the did she set him up? Like, did she set him up to get robbed or whatever? Like, you don't know what to think was going on right now, because you like, whoa. So it is intriguing because it's a lot of twists that's happening. So then you find out that she's in a she her husband ex-husband got full custody of their child, and she wants, you know, cut some custody back to see the child. And you know, the husband is pretty much like, yo, you know, you did what you did, it's nothing, you don't need to see our daughter, the daughter barely knows you. And the husband is under investigation in the papers and everything. So you see that going on. So then from there, um, she doing her detective work, and she got a phone call basically that stated like, uh, whoever knew about this house, they were familiar. They it was no real, it was no forced entry pretty much. So that made her puzzle and start looking. Now I skipped the part where Ely's at work before all this happened, and his cousin came in to get some money, and his cousin came to get some money, played by Tyron Turner, and his name is Tyron in the movie. Now Tyron Turner played back in the day in Minister Society, and ironically enough, he looks just like he did in Minister Society. So he looked the same in the face, rather, or whatever. So nevertheless, he plays as the cousin, in and out of trouble, always coming to Ely to get a couple dollars, and so Ely gave him some money, and the friend at the Ely's agency pretty much like, yo, you need to kick him to the curb. All he doing is just always trying to get money from you or whatever. So the friend comes to him like, yeah, I know you in the midst of all this, but listen, you got all these players underneath the agency, the big wigs, they want to sign us, and you know, we could make a lot of money. And Derrick was pretty much like, yo, man, yo, when we got into this business, so we don't have to answer to nobody. We don't work for nobody. We make all the decisions ourselves. We doing good. He was like, yo, you ain't gonna get this opportunity once. You ain't gonna get this one opportunity once in a lifetime. They ain't gonna keep trying to come at you like that. So that happened. So the detective calls him like, yo, get in. So he's Gary get out. He's feeling like the detective suspect, and he looked her up in online, and pretty much seemed like she liked the best what she do, and he sees that her husband was in the been in the news on their investigation. So when he's coming out of work, she sees him and basically say, get in, you know, I gotta show you something. And then he was like, man, I ain't got time for this. And she was like, get in. So you like, oh man, she trying, you know what I mean? She trying to get him to knock them boots. Now she fronting on him. His wife gonna really find out. So he takes her out. She takes him out somewhere like some beach, and she asks him that he's familiar with the area. He's like, nah, I ain't never been here. Why you got me out here? So then she walks over, and then she gives him some binoculars, and then she said, just look. And she said, wait. And he said, what am I looking at? I don't see nothing. She said, just wait for it. Now he looking back in the binoculars, and then he see his boy that, you know, worked with him at the agency. And so he said, yeah, that's, you know, why you showing me my you know, basically my boy, you know what I mean, or whatever. She said, wait for it. And boom, he see his wife, and you like, oh snap, the wife is having an affair with his best friend at the firm, at the agency. So he's pissed, you know what I'm saying, he's pissed. So then she was like, it's more to it. He was like, yo, leave me the F alone right now. And she said, all right, when you ready to find out, come let me know, or whatever. So she told him, listen, don't go back to um, that place. Like, don't go there with them or whatever. So he leaves, he goes home, he's drinking. He called her up and pretty much is like, yo, what, where you at? And she's like, this meet. So she told him come to her house. He comes to her house, and then pretty much like, you only came here because you told me you knew something. And she basically was like, yeah, you frustrated, you angry. She said, how you feel right now, like what you want to do or whatever. So what happened, of course he knocked it down again, and out of frustration he knocked it down, and just pretty much told her, he just looked at her like, yo, what you want to tell me or whatever. So she was like, basically, do you want revenge? You know what I'm saying? And so he just left. He get a knock at the door like a couple hours later, like, yo, it's the police. Yo, we need to come get you. We need to take you to the down to the station. So when he get into the station, she was like, tell me right now. He like, what you talking about? He like, yo, did you do it? And he like, what? And then she showed him the pictures, and they showed the pictures of his wife and the best friend was dead. Bullets in both of their heads or whatever. She like, tell me right now. He was like, no, I didn't do it. I didn't do this. What are you talking about? And then she's like, tell the truth or whatever. So she start painting a picture for him, like you went back in there because she had a ring or something, said it was at the scene or whatever. And so he started envisioning, because he tripping, he's envisioning the story that she said how he did it or whatever. So at the moment you don't know whether he did it or he didn't. So you like, man, this is, it's keep twisting or whatever. So he was like, nah, he's still stuck with I didn't do it though. So she said, well, you're going to be under investigation. So basically he was a person of interest. And so it showed her talking with the husband, and the husband pretty much, ex-husband pretty much like, yo, you'll never see the daughter. You ain't going to get no custody or whatever. And so she was going through that. I knew that was going to be her downfall. So Ely basically was in the public eye. He's losing clients. He's under investigation for potentially killing the murders. And he ran into the girl that was supposed to be messing with the best friend pretty much. They was talking for a little bit. He was like, basically tell her, don't, keep it pushing, you know what I mean? And so after the funeral, he went to the funeral and came home. The cop was waiting for him. The detective was waiting for him, and the cousin was looking. And so she was approaching him basically like, yo, he like, what you doing here? He like, my family here, you know what I'm saying? Why you coming to check me? And she was like, well, I'm just coming to do my condolences. And he's like, yo, I don't need you to do no condolences. Like, you know what I mean? Like, just do your job. Find out who did the killing or whatever. And then she said something slick to him and tried to walk away. He grabbed her. She hurried up and did a swift move. She pulled her gun out on him and was like, she was like, I could kill you right now. And he was like, she's like, I could kill you right now, and then say it's in self-defense or whatever. He's like, yo, you did that shit, didn't you? Or whatever. She said, well, who's worse, the person who did it or the person who wanted it done? So she stepped off, but the cousin seen her. So he told the cousin what took place, and so he figured like, yo, she trying to extort me. So the cousin was like, yo, I hate cops, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm gonna handle this for you, cuz. And he like, nah, don't do that. But he's like, nah, you need a higher power right now. So the cousin links up with one of his goons, and when he links up one of his goons, they know where she live at, so they make the wise guy decision to go at her house and torture her to do whatever. I don't know what the heck they was thinking they was gonna do. That was a dumb moment, and just a dumb moment of the movie. Like, that was stupid. What do you think? You gonna put the gun to her and she gonna be all scared, and then that's gonna be that? Like, you can't talk her into anything. She a cop, detective. You know what I'm saying? So, like, knock it off. Like, if y'all wasn't, they could have did better writing with that to make that story. But it's like they just threw that part in there. So nevertheless, him and his goon showed up to her, took her gun. They had her at gunpoint. She started faking like she was coughing, and so while she was act like she's gotta throw up, the goon was sitting over top of her, and she took the toilet cover and smacked him with it, and then um, hit him with the toilet cover. She jumped up, and in her ceiling she had a gun. Now inside her apartment she had trap doors in it, and she had a gun in her bedroom ceiling, a shotgun. So she grabbed a shotgun, blew his behind back. He was out of here. So then she came out and shooting wild at the cousin, and the cousin uh, shot at her, and she pretty much blew the cousin, blew him away too. So that was like a dumb mission right there, dummy mission. So she pretty much called Derrick and said, "Yo, you know, meet with me." And he was like, "Yo, where's my cousin?" And she was like, "Well, he's dead." You know, he tried to, um, basically torture me or whatever, and I had to, deal with him and his goon. So she was like, "Yo," he's like, "Yo, you sick or whatever." So she pretty much like, "Listen, you used me. You had a wife. You used me. So I thought I'm gonna use you. And the way I'm gonna use you is my ex-husband, takes a run at this particular location or this particular time. You could meet him at this particular time. Nobody's gonna be around that time. You kill him, and I give you the gun that was used to kill, your wife and your best friend, your best friend that was at your agency." And then he like, "Nah, I ain't doing that." And she said, "Well, if you don't, I'm gonna make sure that you get indicted." So he's thinking like, "Oh man, I'm stuck before a rock and a hard place." So she extorting him, and so at this moment, you like, "Yo, dog, why they ain't showing your intelligence? You made it this far, with your own agency. You show you have some brightness. You not using your brightness." Like his mom told him, like, your name is everything you got. So you gotta fight for your name and show that you stand up and clear your name pretty much. And so he was like, "All right, I'm gonna do it." So he followed the ex-husband, and then they was inside of like a tunnel. And he ran into ex-husband like, "Yo, are you?" He pulled a gun out on the ex-husband. Now that was dumb too, but he pretty much, his intent was to just talk to the ex-husband and tell him that, "Yo, your ex-wife wants you dead or whatever, and we need to get a plan together or whatever." But the ex-husband was like, pretty much like, "Man, I don't know you." So the ex-husband started trying to fight him, and then they tussling, and he shot the ex-husband. So I believe the ex-husband died because he came back and basically said it was over. Now, one part I forgot to leave out is that his wife and his best friend, they're the ones who set him up to get robbed, the house robbed. The robber was supposed to come in and kill him, so that what would happen is she would get his half of the agency, and the best friend would have the other half, and then they'll go happy on. Once they sell it, they get all the money amongst them two. or whatever. So that was the intent. I left that part out. But nevertheless, back to after the ex-husband got killed, he shows back up to her place, tell her that it was done, and she's based pretty much. He was like, "Well, you gonna try to kill me now?" And she was like, pretty much like, "Man, just get out of here and take take the gun and get going or whatever." So he was like, "You're sick, you know. Your daughter don't deserve you." And so when he said that, she got fuming. That was dumb. She started shooting at him. They shooting at each other. So she shot him in his shoulder. He shot her in her shoulder, and she was knocked out at first. And then he kicked the gun away from her. So, uh, of course, she was still breathing though. But he figured like, well, you know, the cops will be coming soon, and you know, he already knew, like he had her. So on his way walking to the elevator, he looked back. She was gone, and she popped up out of nowhere, started stabbing him with the knife, and he ended up shooting her. And this time, this was like the fatal blow. And while she was dying, he pulled out the phone, showing that he was recording her, where she was admitting to the murders and everything that she did or whatever. So that was his way to get off the hook, and that's pretty much how the movie ended. And he got vindicated in the paper. So overall, it was a decent film. It was a decent film. It could have been better. The twist had you going to keep you intrigued, because you some of the things you didn't expect or you could have. But you know, now that I think back, some of them things you potentially could have picked up early, but it failed somewhere. It just seemed like the storyline ended abruptly when you thought it was going to get better or turn out a different way. It ended like, that's it. Like, oh man, like I thought it kept twisting, and then it twisted, and then it just went flat. Like, oh man. So with that being said, out of my 4-star rating system, I'm gonna give this movie a 2.5 out of 4 stars, a 2.5 out of 4 stars. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave a comment. Till next time.